Vanna White, the well-known television personality from the hit game show Wheel of Fortune, is recognized not only for her radiant smile and graceful stage presence, but also for the curiosity that surrounds her private life. Few people know that. Her journey has included some surprising moments. In the 1980s, Hollywood parties and the Playboy Mansion were known for their glamorous and sometimes wild atmosphere. According to Liza Greer, a figure familiar with that scene, Vanna White had a freer and less conventional side than the sweet and gentle image seen on TV. Greer recalls a night at the Playboy Mansion where Vanna appeared very different from her public persona. At that time, Vanna White was engaged to actor John Gibson, known for his role on daytime TV's The Young and the Restless. Gibson had gained attention as a male model, appearing in Playgirl magazine in the mid-1970s. Together, they were viewed as a classic Hollywood couple. One evening, Vanna invited Greer to her home. When Gibson stepped out, a close connection developed between Vanna and Greer. According to Greer, their encounter was more than just a fleeting moment. It revealed a confident and sensual side of Vanna that was rarely seen publicly. However, this connection did not last openly. Vanna, who had worked hard to build her wholesome image, seemed to distance herself afterward. The 1980s were a time when public figures faced intense scrutiny, and any deviation from expected norms could threaten their careers. After that night, Vanna's behavior toward Greer became more reserved, reflecting the challenge of balancing her private life with her public image. Meanwhile, Vanna's relationship with John Gibson ended tragically when he died in a plane crash, a loss she has spoken about publicly. Today, Vanna White's story highlights the difficulties faced by many public figures in the past who had to navigate personal truths alongside societal expectations. While she remains a beloved television icon, her journey also reflects the complex pressures of fame during that era. Many felt compelled to suppress their identities to navigate the entertainment industry's unspoken rules. Recent revelations from a documentary by ND have begun to dismantle the glamorized image of the Playboy Mansion, showing it not only as a place of luxury and parties, but also as a setting where some lives were quietly stifled. In that context, Vanna's silence is now seen not as weakness, but as a deliberate act of survival by a woman who entered a world that left little room for vulnerability. I'm going to show you how the puzzle board works. All you have to do is want to try. I'm going to try. One of the most shocking claims involves an event referred to as Pig Night. While the name may sound offensive, it was reportedly a recurring event at the Playboy Mansion during Hugh Hefner's time. This was not just another wild party. It was described as a planned indulgence where moral boundaries were blurred behind closed doors, protected by power and influence. Each Thursday night, a carefully selected guest list including celebrities, influential producers, politicians, and businessmen would gather at the estate. Women, reportedly from upscale establishments, were brought in not only to meet the desires of the elite but also to participate in a troubling ritual of dominance and control where male egos were prioritized. The term Pig Night was not only a derogatory label but symbolized a moral decay enabled by fame and wealth. I can't believe it. I don't know how to put into words that these famous names, like Jack Nicholson, Rod Stewart, and Sylvester Stallone, were said to be regular guests. They weren't just attendees, but part of a system that kept these events secret behind the mansion's gates. Some people viewed these events as liberating, while others distanced themselves, leaving behind whispered stories that never surfaced publicly. When Liza Greer, who witnessed and took part in these gatherings, revealed her experiences in her memoir You'll Never Love in This Town Again, the public got a rare glimpse into the gap between Hollywood myths and harsh realities. She recounted sleepless nights, hollow moments, and feelings of estrangement from herself. Vanna White, who later became a beloved television icon, was also mentioned in stories prompting a re-evaluation of the real cost of fame. This is kind of weird because I've been doing the show about 7 years now, and this is my last date. I know we'll be seeing a lot of you there. Before becoming the familiar face of Wheel of Fortune, Vanna White was a young woman alone in Los Angeles during the late 1970s, carrying fragile dreams and little security. She didn't have a stable place to stay or the courage to ask her father for financial help. She agreed to pose for provocative photos, not out of rebellion, but as a means of survival. These photos, once forgotten, resurfaced just as her career was taking off. Rather than being recognized for her talents, she was labeled as the girl from the nude photos, unfairly judged by the harsh standards of the time. Back then, Hollywood often forgave powerful men for scandalous behavior, but was quick to shame women for youthful mistakes. Vanna was one of those women. But the spotlight could not diminish her resilience. She did not publicly confront or write exposés. Instead, she chose quiet strength. Through her steady presence and smile across thousands of episodes, she gave perhaps the most powerful response possible. She survived, rose above the stigma, and became a lasting part of American pop culture. For over 3 decades, the past may never fully disappear, and some doors may remain closed forever. But Vanna White proved that sometimes a single steadfast smile is enough to weather judgment and earn a different kind of respect. There is a cruel paradox in Hollywood, a place that glorifies female beauty yet punishes women who sacrifice their innocence just to survive. Hardship should have stayed buried with her youth. But just as she reached the peak of her fame on Wheel of Fortune, that past was unearthed, duplicated, and splashed across the pages of Playboy magazine as visual merchandise for the world to consume. Vanna was not a Playboy model. She had not signed any commercial agreement for those photos. Yet that didn't stop Hugh Hefner, who publicly claimed to be her friend, from using her image to sell magazines and maintain his status in a culture driven by the commodification of women's bodies. At a time when her career was most vulnerable, Vanna was no longer seen as a charismatic game show host. She became the subject of gossip, a sex symbol, not by choice, but by imposition. She wasn't just fighting for her reputation, she was fighting for the right to control her own body. When she confronted Hugh Hefner, she didn't ask for money, she asked for compassion. When that was denied, she took legal action, not just to seek justice, but to tell the world, I did not consent. Still, like many women caught in the grip of the Playboy machine, Vanna understood one harsh truth. Once your image is taken from you, the only thing you truly control is how you live afterward. And Vanna White did something no one expected. She carried on. She kept smiling on national television every night, offering viewers comfort, familiarity, and warmth. When the world tried to drown her in shame, she rose with grace. She didn't need to fight back with words. Time did that for her. Vanna has said, I love my job. But it's telling that unlike many celebrities who turned personal tragedy into public spectacle, she chose to quietly endure her pain, a pain that left a permanent fracture in her soul. The sudden death of John Gibson not only stole the man she loved, but also marked the end of the most innocent years of her youth. On television, she continued to smile warmly each night, but behind the scenes, she was a woman learning to live with loss as an unavoidable part of life. Her brief relationship with Sylvester Stallone, though hyped by the media as a movie-worthy romance, was in truth little more than a fleeting moment, an instinctive attempt to fill the void. Vanna never used her love life to boost her fame. Perhaps that's why, in the years that followed, she chose to keep her relationships private, shielding love with silence, an increasingly rare luxury in a world where every private moment can be commodified. Then came George San Pietro, entering her life like a quiet breeze. There was no drama, no tabloid frenzy, just stability. Their wedding, between a film producer and a beloved game show host, was not only a dream come true, but also a symbol of rebirth for a woman who had once lost everything. In the home they built together, Vanna was no longer a victim of the past. She was a mother, a wife, and a steadfast icon of American television.